So when you were scouting out there, how long would you stay out?
We'd hide in the daytime.
Yep.
And we have to watch for the flares, light the whole area up, just like daytime. We make sure we could get down fast enough.
Okay. But how many nights would you be out?
About 4 nights.
Okay.
4 nights, 6 days. Yeah. We used to have it all marked.
And then how long a break would you get before you had to go back?
No, we were on duty right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you said sometimes you got to go back to the
Yeah.
rear and recover.
Right, to get our clothes repaired, get a new pair of pants or something like that.
Okay.
Underwear and that whole thing, and socks. Boy.
All right. Now, after you moved out of that area, what did you do next?
Well, they up in line. We make sure that our holes, we could be deep enough, because if they broke tanks through on us, we could get down to the bottom of the holes.
Right. I guess I was asking, after you finished, you said you were about a month near the Hurtgen forest.
Yeah, right.
And then what did your unit do next?
We headed for one of the areas that had big name, starts with a W, and Warschild, and we captured the town. The 23rd really captured the town. Then they called us in, and then they sent 16 of us on a trip to get the Germans out of the town of Schmidt. We're talking 15 miles. And because they were going to blow up the dams, and they'd have flooded all the areas that the British were in, and part of our outfit. The 9th would have been there. So we went through the 9th Division, the 38th, and they took 16 of us there. And we went along the shore of the Ruhr River.
Right. It's R-O-E-R.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Ruhr
Right.
River. Yeah.
And it took us 2 days. 15 miles is 1 day's work, but a couple of days. Had to be careful that they didn't set a trap for us. No Germans. No Germans at all. It's like somebody forgot to tell them, But we got right to the dam, and the guy with the radio called the artilleryman there. They had word for us to come back. The Germans are attacking on December 16th.
Okay. So,
I'll never forget the date.
all right.
I had to turn and come back, and a little bit of daylight too.
Okay. And how long did it take to get back?
About 2 days.
Okay.
Because you get killed if they see you out there. They get the mortars after you, or riflemen, or these guys they call their expert marksmen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so now you get back. Now, do you go back to where the 9th Division is and then move from there?
We went back exactly where we know the spot where we were at.
Yeah.
Because we had at night, we'd move out, and before it got daylight, we'd dig a hole to stay in that hole.
But then, how long did it take you to get back to the 2nd Division? About 3 days,
We're all
or?
2nd Division.
Yeah. Well, I know, but you said you were sent off as a detachment.
Oh, okay.
And you moved
16
through,
guys.
Yeah, those 16 guys.
Yeah.
So, but then you eventually rejoin your regular company.
Yes.
Yeah.
We back and we joined the 29th, the 23rd Regiment, E Company, and we had to stop there because they had something for us to do there.
Right.
And so they kept sending us back further and further, and that's when we got all new clothes.
Okay.
That, not only that, but the weather was starting to change. Snow was there, and we had get rid of the warm weather clothes that we had, and put the overcoats on and that whole thing, and got right back up in there. And then famous Falaise Gap, we pushed up right up against that, and then made a right-hand turn to go to Brest.
Okay. Now you've backed us up a little bit. That was back in Normandy.
Yeah.
But we were talking now.
Normandy is all of France, the beach area.
No, but that's back. But in your story, we had gotten you up along the Belgian-German border and started the Battle of the Bulge.
That's right.
So that's what I kind of wanted to get to next.
Okay, well, I'm working my way there. I had to add a few funny things that happened in there.
Okay.
Well, we got in there, and the Germans had the tanks all lined up. And along the roads, Air Corps was doing the best job they could do, was making them spread out and everything, dropping bombs on them, and a few of us they dropped on. And the guys with bazookas, we had to make sure that they had fresh batteries. That's how you fire a bazooka.
Okay.
Not many people know that.
I didn't know that.
Okay. But anyway, our guys, we had 4 or 5 guys in that town of Krinkelt. That was the first town. And we had them stationed there so they could shoot that bazooka and take off one track and try to move a tank with one track. All he does is make a circle, and use all his ammunition up. We had 3 of them. We got 3 of them on our street right there. And the funny thing about it, they were anti-tank guys that had bazookas, not the guns, the 59 millimeter cannons there. Because the first time the Germans would see that flash and that, they knew that where it was. And we lost a lot of anti-tank guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the anti-tank...
I was trained in that, too.
And the anti-tank, and that's just a gun, there's no protection for the crew.
Yeah, right. So we got Trevieres is back behind us, about 6-7 miles on there. Hill 192 is over here in St. Lo. We had too many troops in there, and they were digging a lot of holes. That's all you could say.
Okay, but that's back in Normandy.
Yes.
Now, when you were knocking off the tracks of the tanks, now that was going on at Krinkelt?
That was Belgium.
That's Battle of the Bulge.
Battle of the Bulge started, yeah.
Right, okay. And what else do you remember about the Battle of the Bulge?
We were 6 days in this one house, and the Germans had they burned off the roof with the shells, and we were down below. And big boulders, the houses were made big boulders like that. The tanks would shoot through the windows. With their sometime when they're making their circle around down on the street. That's as far as it got. But that all stopped all of a sudden. All they were doing, the noise you'd hear, the big cannons and that stuff back out away, our cannons, 105, big stuff. And we finally got a break there, but it was cold, and we lost Lieutenant Welsh. He thought he could get out the door and get over to the next house, but didn't make it. And we lost a corporal there too.
Okay. Now, did you have to pull out of the house and retreat?
No, we were there with nothing. That was it. They said, you stay here.
Okay.
You can't go anywhere. Because we had a corning point on this crossroad at Rockerath and Krinkelt. Yeah. 2 houses, 2 towns, too many guys.
I guess in the history books it says we did withdraw from those villages eventually.
Oh, yeah. We withdrew with them, and we went back through the town where the Germans were, and all our letters and Christmas present boxes from our parents and all that stuff was spread out all over. They opened up everything. In fact, I lost the watch. My mother bought me a new watch and sent it. So it's a German probably today has still got a watch there. Got there.
Okay.
But they pulled us back, and there was they figured out some way to keep enough artillery banging back for them, so the Germans would fall back, and then we could get out of the houses.
Right.
It didn't work that way though. We had to fight our way back by using the guns we'd had there, and we were getting low on ammunition because when a guy get killed or something, we take his gun and his ammunition right on there. And we went back, and lucky me, like Paris, they sent me back to another town, and I got another new set of clothes on there. And then we got back up on the front line, and then we started chasing the Germans to the Rhine River.
Right.
Right, and that's when the Navy came up with rubber boats, and I don't know how they ever got that far without losing, a lot of guys or something, but they didn't. They had to figure it out pretty good. And at midnight, We jumped in the boats and went across the river.
Okay.
When we got over there were no Germans there. That was the funniest feeling, you know.
Is this when you're crossing the Rhine River?
Rhine River, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to be about in March now?
Well, it was still cold.
Yeah.
Still really cold. Yeah. I get sometimes I'm a month ahead.
Yeah.
You know, in my thinking.
Yeah. The Rhine crossing started in March.
Yeah, in March. Yeah.
In
Well,
February
we were there before March.
Yeah.
The 2nd Division, our objective was Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
And when you look at the maps in my book, you can see the line.
Yeah.
And we went through all those towns.
But it's sort of thing where the Battle of the Bulge is December into January.
Yeah,
and then in January, then you're attacking eastward toward Germany and toward the Rhine. You probably get to the Rhine February, maybe, so you get to one side of it.
Yeah, we waited about 2 weeks there, digging the holes deeper. And then with scouts, we go out there and look at the Rhine, you know, and we'd try to see a mile. It was about 1.25 miles, they said, right where we were at. And we had a fit because they came up there with rockets, 10 rockets in a blast.
Right.
Zip, 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 one right after another, 10, and they go back and load it up. We didn't want the Germans to try to find them, you know, and here we were there.
So you couldn't shoot at
deep
them.
holes.
So you wouldn't shoot at them because you didn't want them to hit you.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're right.
Okay.
We didn't want to disclose where we were.
Okay.
But there are a lot of houses along the river, lot of houses. But we weren't allowed to do that. We didn't storm the houses. There were troops behind us. That was their job to get that.
Okay.
We couldn't touch any of the prisoners in these small camps that we get. The German catch our guys, you know, and we weren't allowed to touch any of those guys. We couldn't shake hands or anything. We would just yell at them, and because we didn't know what diseases they had.
Right.
And people don't realize that, you know, that whole thing. Hooray, they're here, you know. Forget it. Stay there. Don't get near me.
So are you passing different kinds of camps as you go forward?
Yeah.
So there were prisoner of war camps?
Prisoner of war camps.
Okay.
And they were used on the working things, building pillboxes and building roads and that type of thing.
Well, and the Germans also used a lot of slave laborers from other European countries.
Right.
So, and then there were the concentration camps where they had
Polish people.
Yeah.
They were putting their hands through the barbed wire and trying to touch us, and we were...
Don't touch your microphone, by the way.
No.
Okay.
They're trying to touch us in there, and they warned us every day. We got tired of it, you know. We weren't going to touch them anyway. But they're so glad they're crying and yelling and screaming, you know, hooray, they're here.
Yeah. Now, were you able to give them food, or do they tell you not to?
I don't know. We don't know because we were ahead.
Okay.
Our job was Czechoslovakia.
All right. Now, as you were, so when you crossed the Rhine, did you cross the Rhine in boats, in rubber boats?
Rubber boats, yeah.
Okay.
The Navy had them there.
All right.
Yeah, and we came out, nobody shooting at us. Like something happened, shut the war off or something there. A lot of noise, a lot of flares.
And now you're marching across Germany.
Yeah.
Now, were you still doing your scouting missions? Were you still going up ahead?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I could have cried when I had to put a phosphorus bomb in the cockpit of a Stuka bomber. I did it. I made it as a kid. Found my balsa wood and all that as a kid, and I had it hanging in the ceiling. It was probably 18 inches long and the whole thing. Here I had to get into the cockpit and just drop it down in there, all the controls, and it was gone. Phosphorus bombs, we carried them on our clothes like hand grenades.
Right.
The hand grenade wouldn't have helped at all.
So
this, we burned them.
Yeah. So you found a German dive bomber just sitting out there.
No, they had, this was a repair base or something like that.
Okay.
And we had orders, burn them. Yeah.
Well,
and how did they know they were there? When they fly over. Who cares? Up there, they don't worry about it. But on the ground, we had to burn them. And we did the same thing to their barracks. We burned them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you meet much opposition? Were the Germans shooting back?
Not too much.
Okay.
Not too much. There's numerous towns where the guys had to get tough with youngsters that maybe were 12, 14, 15 years old. Bad news.
Yeah.
And we put them down on the floor, face down on the floor, stay right there. And if they even rolled over, we lay one on them, you know. You take your bayonet on and stick it on the end of your gun. That stopped a lot of things, you know.
Okay.
We learned those things from basic training.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what were these kids doing? And how were they behaving that made you have to deal with them?
Well, they were surprised we were there.
Okay.
Yeah. It was just getting near the center of, well, maybe 50 miles into Germany.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, General Patton, George Patton, sent the 3rd Armored Division over to the 2nd Division, 38th Infantry. And I was one of the lucky ones, and you'll see the pictures of my tank with the guys hanging on to it.
So now you got to ride on a tank?
I got to ride on a tank, yep.
All right.
Right.
And did you stay with the tanks and go all the way to Czechoslovakia that way?
The border.
Okay.
To the border. And then
All
you
right.
got off and started walking again. We were in friendly company there, and the Czechs would tell us if there were any Germans in there. So we moved along pretty fast. In fact, sometimes we had the trucks carry us. You know, 6x6s they called.
Yep.
They'd put probably 20 guys in there, or shoulder to shoulder inside that thing. Maybe 3 in the seat with the driver. You know.
Okay. And where were you when the war ended?
In
Europe?
Pilsen.
Okay.
My dad's parents' hometown.
Okay.
Can you believe that? Well, I had it in Paris, there, and Dudas is spelled Dudar there. D-U-D-A-R, and that's because R's and S's when you write them look the same.
Okay. And so your father's family came from Czechoslovakia,
Pilsen.
and then they moved to France, and then they moved to the U.S.?
No, the ones in Paris moved right to the United States.
Right.
World Fairs, 1889, World's Fair.
World's Fair, okay,
that
sure.
started it for us in 1933.
Okay.
And I rode the skyrocket in Chicago.
Yeah.
Way up above the area there. I don't want to slip back a little bit here.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good
all right.
to know. Yeah.
But Grandma and Grandpa came from Paris. They came from Pilsen, Czechoslovakia, my father's parents.
Okay.
Yeah, never close to them at all. They lived in Cicero, and they were all members of the group in Cicero, Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, when you got to Pilsen, did you ever see any of the Russians?
Yes, I saw them coming on the bridge, and they got to there where we had it written on in English. Stop, or you're going to be shot. That's the way we put it. And there probably some guys did get there because they were on guard, probably 100 football field away anyway, from that tank that was in the middle of the bridge.
Okay.
And
so you saw the Russians
4th
at a
Division
distance.
finally took it over on that.
Okay. All right. Now, so how long did you stay in Czechoslovakia?
I was there about 2 months.
Okay.
They had me and my, I'll have to say the whole company G was there. And in my book you see pictures of the guys. I took pictures of them because I was the first one let out. I had 5 campaigns in. Yeah.
Okay. So your company was still there
Yeah.
when you got this, where you were told you could go home. You had enough
home, yeah.
points. Okay.
But that was a long trip. That was a couple of weeks.
Okay. Tell me, I'll ask some other things. Did you see many German prisoners of war? Captured Germans, did you see them?
No, because we went by those people.
Okay.
We saw thousands of German guys walking to go to back behind us.
Okay.
They were prisoners, really,
Okay.
but we were on tanks.
Right.
They'd go off to the side of the road, even walk in the gullies on the side
Yeah.
of the road because we had the big
Right.
tanks, and you'll see the pictures of the tanks.
And what did they look like to you?
Torn, worn out.
And were they about your age or older or younger?
Well, there were some areas that we caught some of those guys when we were in Belgium, younger, 14, 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have kids. Did
Yeah.
you see older men too?
Not too many.
Okay.
Maybe around the build-up fortresses that
Right.
they had in different places. Don't let the churches fool you. That was the motto we had. Don't let the churches fool you, because the snipers were up in the tower, up there. Then we'd get the tank up there and take the top right off the tower. Yeah. You hate that, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a religious person, and I always think I'm home when I see a church, you know. So.
Okay. And then how did the people in Czechoslovakia treat you?
They loved us. We have our own business office in Pilsen today, and I'll give you the story with Pilsen.
Okay.
I wanted to go to Pilsen because I heard about the office there and all the fun they were having there, and I got a letter from a congressman, and he says you can't go over this year. They're having a few problems over there. And I've never been able to figure out anything. And I wanted to go to Pilsen and see if I could find any Dudas there, you know, and go back to Paris that way, get a plane there to come back to the States. I had dreams of that, doing that.
Okay.
But it didn't work out that way. And I have a lady that takes care of sending troops, us back over there and that, and we're pretty good friends. And she has the agency that does that. She had a fit when that congressman wrote me the letter, said don't go this year anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
What year was that?
What year was that? I'll have to see, about 2001, maybe in there, 2002.
Okay.
2003. That's just, we're in 15 now, so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what was going on then. I mean, other than maybe after we went into Iraq or Afghanistan or something, they were worried about something. But
Yeah, right.
yeah, anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we were really into that war there. The 23rd is all gone now. They've all been sent home. The 9th was in Afghanistan, and they're still there, but they're going to come home too. We have different names now.
Right. Now, are there other things, when you think about the time that you spent in Europe during the war, are there other memories that kind of stand out for you?
Well, being in the front, everyone was different. Everything was different. And the most different thing was getting to Brest, because Patton hadn't pulled up with his big group up there yet. To spread out from Marseille and spread out along there, that big wave there, and then we were from the beach, and they had to make contact with them. And we still had glider troops and paratroopers, you know, either all shot up or something. And the people in France would tell us about where they're at. They'd pull them in there and try to get them well and the whole thing.
Because they were scattered all over Brittany, the
All-
area you're
all
going
Brittany,
through.
that's the good word.
Yeah.
You know?
Because that had still been behind German lines for a
Yeah.
long time before
Long
you got
time. Yeah.
there. Okay, so you're rescuing those guys.
Yeah, right. Well, we heard about them, and maybe the lieutenants and the sergeants would go in and look at them. Not us. We had one thing to do, is look and see if the Germans were in front of us.
Right.
And when we didn't see them, we worried about it. Yeah, right. And on the way to Brest, I lost that part of my being in the service. You know, going back to the hospital and then going back to Paris, which was great. And Harold has died a year ago. In my notes and that whole thing, I have his obituary in the book in there.
Okay. And then one of the men in your squad wrote a book?
No, he didn't write it. His
But
son
son
wrote it.
wrote it. Okay, that's
His
it.
son, and he has a feeling just how we felt, how his brother felt,
Right.
and his brother's the Harold is really a sharp guy. He was #1 scout. He was smarter than I was. He was a year older, but we had fun bluffing the Germans.
Okay.
You know, and they probably did it to us too. We didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but you must have been pretty good at it because you're still alive.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. They up there. They're watching me. You know. I
guess
got a
so.
grandma up there watching me too.
Something. All right. Now, you got your orders that tell you it's time to go home.
Right.
Then what happens?
Well, they came in, and there were only 2 of us that had 5 campaigns, and that was 90 points
Right.
right there.
Right. And so then what happens?
And then they put us on a train, and we spent a week in Nuremberg, where Hitler started this whole thing here. And I have a nut and a bolt and a washer, brass, that big. I took off the eagle that some smart guy in the tank corps blew it right off with a gun, you know. But I got a wrench from one of the tankers, and I went up there and I took it off. And I have it. It's on display in the Granville Museum.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right.
And the kids all wanted to handle it. I give it, and I was teaching classes then. And second graders, they can't wait to put your uniform on, the jacket and the whole thing. And we do that so they get a feeling of what we're doing.
All
And
right.
some parents had a fit.
Okay.
But that's all the kids talk about when they go home.
Yeah. Okay. So you spend a week in Nuremberg, and then do they put you on another train?
Another
then?
train,
Yeah.
yeah. We
And where do you
waited
go?
till the more soldiers came
Right.
up there. And we were right in the center where Hitler started the whole
Right.
works. Yeah.
And then where did you ship out from?
From Antwerp.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of ship were you on?
Same one.
Oh. pretty good.
Ile de France, going the other way. Yeah. I was so surprised about it, but boy, I was sick all the way. Not sick going over, but coming back. Yeah.
Was the weather worse? or-
Well, not really, but I had lost so much weight. I was I'll have to say 225. I was 155.
Okay.
The eating, you know, wasn't all up to standards in that part of it.
Yeah.
And I have 26 medicines I take every day. I take 13 in the morning and 13 at night. My daughter has it in little boxes. Every day is mentioned there.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and then where did you land in the U.S.?
Orangeburg. I'm quite sure it's Orangeburg. Because they gave me a day in Paris, or in New York City.
Okay.
Yeah, they had it all set for you.
Okay.
USO?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you go into probably Camp Shanks or someplace like that.
Yeah, that's a familiar name.
Right.
No, we came back fast, though. We came back fast. Then I went to Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay.
And they said, Dudas, you stay here. And I had called my parents down where I'm at, and I'm still alive, you know. And they said that you have to talk to a couple of psychiatrists. We told them your trauma. Well, it's true. I'd wake up at night screaming and yelling, my guys, you know.
Okay.
Right. And so they put me in. I went into the first day there, walked into the mess hall, and they waved me down. There was a man sitting there, and a lady, soldier, taking notes. And the last thing he said to me, Dudas, if you ever stop working, you're going to die. And I get down to the other end, there's another psychiatrist, he said the same thing. Dudas, if you stop working, you're going to die. You work 24 hours a day. And I was scared, you know, the whole thing. I didn't know
What did they mean by that?
that keep busy,
Okay.
keep busy.
So-
And that's what I did. And give you an example, I taught school, drove a school bus, and I had athletic teams, and I worked for Johnson Park, Kent County.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
the
when
park
you-
system.
So how long did you have to stay in Shreveport? Was that just a short time? Or?
A month.
Okay.
They gave you small tests and that sort of thing. And I had trouble with this ear. That's one that in about 10 days I couldn't hear too well, but I wasn't going to go anywhere. I stayed with my group.
When did that happen to you?
That happened on the way to Trevieres,
Okay, so right at the beginning.
going to Brest.
Okay,
So-
Brest. Okay, after
Yeah.
Trevieres. All right.
Yeah.
So then, once you got back home again, what did you do?
I got my dad talked to somebody, and they were building GI homes, and I'm a carpenter.
Okay.
I've been a carpenter ever since my grandfather let me build on the house when I was a little kid, and a good carpenter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how long did you do that?
And I had to finish high school.
Okay.
So the high school was first right in here because I wanted to go to college.
Okay.
Want to go to Notre Dame and play football. Want to be an architect, all because of my grandma and grandpa.
Right.
And when the athletic director from Notre Dame saw me in the office there, he said, "What happened to you?" When he saw me, where I weighed 220 pounds, is a combination end on the football team. That's what I want to do, play football for that and be with my hero, Earl. I forgot the name of it. I'll say Earl Brown, All-American from Benton Harbor. Yeah.
Okay. So the coach at Notre Dame had seen you before you
yeah,
went
athletic
over.
director, yeah.
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 Okay. So they'd seen you and they thought you'd be a good recruit.
Yeah, they give me a shot at that. I
Right.
wanted to play pro football and go to the Bears.
All right. But now you come back and they
Yeah.
look at you.
Yeah,
That's not going to work.
my mother hardly recognized me.
Okay.
Yeah,
So where
6
did
foot and thin.
yeah. So where did you go to college?
Western.
Okay.
I went there. My lady friend, she was going there, so we went there. And she was in the home ec department, and I was in the industrial arts department. 4 years there, and I worked for there. Never stopped working. I didn't stop there. And Superman, and Dr. Weber, the history department, I had to go in there and check out. I was supposed to learn something in history. And he said, can you cut wood, trim steel, anything like that? I said, I sure can. He said, you're going to work. And my second week in college, I had a solid job there. Yeah. I worked the night shift till 9, 10 o'clock, and I still had to study. Yeah.
And so then when you graduated, you
Yeah.
went right to your high school job? Or you went to Granville then?
Yeah, I came right to Granville, and we signed our contracts a year before we graduated. We were going right there.
Okay. And how long did you teach in Granville?
35 years.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, when you think back to the time that you spent in the service, how do you think that affected you, or what did you take out of it?
No, I tell the two psychiatrists said, "Do you ever stop working, you're going to die." And certainly he was right. And he told the same thing to Harold. And a guy that you would appreciate. He was smooth as glass.
All right. Now, do you
Yeah.
think that you learned? Yeah. Do you think you learned anything from being in the Army? Or?
Yes, yes. You get a broader view of the population, you know?
All right.
Right,
All right. Well, I'd just like to thank you for coming in and telling your story today.
right.
All right. That'll do it.
I haven't told this in a long time. Boy,
You did
long
well.
time.
All right.